I was straightening my sister's veil when her future mother-in-law grabbed my wrist and whispered 8 words that shattered my entire life. "We finally found you. You're our stolen daughter. My name is Kennedy, right?" And until that moment, standing at my sister Jasmine's wedding in Atlanta, I thought I knew exactly who I was. 28 years old, event coordinator, protective big sister, daughter of Raymond and Patricia Wright. But sometimes the truth waits decades to destroy you, choosing the perfect moment when happiness makes you most vulnerable. That Saturday in June had begun exactly like a fairy tale wedding should. Jasmine looked radiant in her ivory dress, the lace hugging her frame like it had been designed just for her. Darius waited at the altar with tears already in his eyes, hands clasped tight as if he might float away otherwise. Our parents sat proudly in the front row, smiling so wide it made my chest ache with love for them. I should have been focused on my maid of honor duties, ticking off mental checklists and preparing for any last-minute disasters. But all morning, Lorraine Henderson, the groom's mother, had been staring at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Her eyes followed me wherever I went, sharp and searching like she was trying to solve a puzzle she'd been carrying for years. When she finally grabbed me during the last moments before the ceremony, her perfectly manicured nails dug into my wrist. Her voice trembled as she spoke those impossible words. The wedding music had already begun. Guests were filing into their seats, murmuring softly, programs rustling. And there I stood, holding my sister's bouquet, while a stranger claimed I was her missing daughter. "You have the birthmark," Lorraine whispered, her eyes wild with a desperate hope I had never seen before. "The crescent moon on your collarbone. Naomi had the same mark." "My Naomi!" The bouquet slipped from my hands. White roses scattered across the marble floor, petals bruising on impact. In the mirror behind Lorraine, I caught sight of my reflection. The small birthmark I'd always thought made me unique now felt like evidence of a crime I didn't know had been committed. This is the story of how I discovered that the parents who raised me were not my parents. The sister I would die for was not my sister. And the life I'd lived for 28 years was built on a lie that began with a kidnapping in a Detroit grocery store. The morning of Jasmine's wedding had arrived with perfect June weather, the kind that makes you believe in fresh starts and happy endings. I pulled into the circular driveway of the manor on Peachtree at exactly 7 a.m., my car packed with emergency supplies that would have made a doomsday prepper proud. Extra pantyhose, safety pins, stain remover, tissues, granola bars, and a sewing kit that had already saved 3 weddings. Being an event coordinator meant I knew everything that could go wrong at a wedding. Being Jasmine's sister meant I prepared for disasters that existed only in my anxious imagination. "Kennedy, thank God you're here." Jasmine flung open the bridal suite door before I could knock. Her hair was still in rollers, and she wore the silk robe I'd given her, the word bride embroidered in gold across the back. "Mama's crying already. The makeup artist is stuck in traffic on I-85, and I think I'm going to throw up." "Deep breaths," I said, setting down my supplies and taking her hands. "Remember the Spelman talent show? You said you were going to throw up then, too, but you sang like an angel." "That was different," she said weakly. "I wasn't promising to love someone forever in front of 200 people. I guided her to the velvet settee by the window. "You've loved Darius since sophomore year at Morehouse. The promise is just paperwork at this point." She laughed, tension easing from her shoulders. That had always been our dynamic. Jasmine spiraled, I steadied her. She was the artist who saw the world in watercolors and possibilities. I was the planner who kept her grounded. Our parents liked to joke that together we made one perfectly functional person. The door burst open, and our mother appeared, already dressed in her lavender mother-of-the-bride gown, clutching a velvet jewelry box. Patricia Wright at 55 was still beautiful, silver streaking her dark brown hair, laugh lines proof of a joyful life. But that morning, something felt off. Her smile was too bright, her movements too quick. "My beautiful girls," she said, her voice catching. "Jasmine, honey, I brought Grandma Evelyn's pearls. She wore them at her wedding in Birmingham in 1952, and I wore them at mine." As she fastened the necklace, I noticed her hands trembling. "You okay, Mama?" "Just emotional," she said quickly. "My baby's getting married." Where did the time go? It feels like yesterday you were both running around with braids and barrettes, Kennedy bossing Jasmine around at the playground in Cascade Heights. I didn't boss her around, I protested. I protected her from bullies. You pushed Terrell Jackson off the swing set, Jasmine reminded me. He called you Four Eyes because of your glasses. He deserved it. We laughed, and for a moment Mama's tension faded. This was who we were, the right girls, united against the world. If only I'd known how fragile that truth really was. The makeup artist finally arrived in a flurry of apologies and immediately set to work on Jasmine, brushes flying, palettes opening and closing like instruments in a symphony. I helped Mama organize the bridesmaids' bouquets, sneaking glances at her when she wasn't looking. She kept checking her phone, frowning at the screen, then slipping it back into her purse like it had burned her. Daddy on his way? I asked casually. He's already here, she said too quickly, talking to the photographer about family photo locations in the garden. Then she paused, her voice dropping. Kennedy, you know we love you, right? Both of you. More than anything in this world. I raised an eyebrow. Random declaration of love before noon? Are you dying? She pulled me into a fierce hug, squeezing me so tightly my ribs protested. Can't a mother tell her daughter she loves them? Sure, I said laughing. But you're hugging me like I'm about to disappear. She released me, laughing shakily. Sorry. Weddings make me sentimental. Later, as I helped Jasmine into her dress, she caught my eye in the mirror. Is it just me, or are Mama and Daddy acting strange? They've been weird all week. They're probably just emotional about their baby growing up, I said, though I'd noticed it too, the whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room, the way Daddy had stared at me during the rehearsal dinner at Pascal's like he was memorizing my face. We'll always be their babies, Jasmine said softly, even when we're old and gray. I zipped up her dress and smoothed the lace. Some things never change. I had no idea how wrong I was. The ceremony was scheduled to start at 3, but by 2:30, Lorraine Henderson had already approached me 4 times. The first time was while I was arranging place cards in the reception hall. She appeared suddenly at my side, studying my face so intently I stepped back. I'm sorry, she said, not sounding sorry at all. You just look incredibly familiar. Have we met before? I don't think so, Mrs. Henderson. I'm Kennedy, Jasmine's sister. We met briefly at the engagement party at Ponce City Market. No, she said, shaking her head. Before that, something about your features. She tilted her head, examining me like a museum piece. Your eyes especially. Such an unusual shade of hazel. I forced a polite smile and excused myself, but 20 minutes later she found me adjusting the altar flowers. Kennedy, she said slowly, tasting my name. Is that a family name? No, I replied. My mama just liked how it sounded. She said it meant strength. I tried to keep my tone light, but unease was creeping in. I should check on Jasmine. The 3rd time, she cornered me near the kitchen. Where did you grow up? Atlanta. Born and raised in Southwest Atlanta. Yes, but what hospital? The question startled a laugh out of me. I have no idea. Why? She didn't answer. Instead, her gaze dropped to my collarbone, where my dress had shifted slightly, revealing the crescent-shaped birthmark I'd had my entire life. Her face went white. She staggered back, bumping into a server carrying champagne flutes. Mrs. Henderson, are you all right? She grabbed my arm. Don't tell Darius anything. Not yet. Then she hurried away, leaving me shaken. I found our cousin Malik, who was ushering, and pulled him aside. Keep an eye on the groom's mother. I think she's either drunk or having some kind of breakdown. She seems sober to me, Malik said slowly. But she asked a lot of weird questions about you. How long I'd known you, if I remembered when you were born. A chill slid down my spine. What did you tell her? The truth. That we didn't meet until your family moved from Detroit when you were 2. Why? Detroit. I'd heard the story my whole life. Daddy got a better job at Coca-Cola headquarters. We moved to Atlanta. End of story. Black families relocated to Atlanta all the time. It was the Black Mecca after all. The 4th encounter happened minutes before the ceremony. I was adjusting Jasmine's veil when Lorraine appeared in the doorway of the bridal suite, her makeup streaked with tears. I need to speak with Kennedy. Alone. Jasmine frowned. We're about to walk down the aisle. Please, Lorraine said. It's urgent. Something in her voice made my stomach drop. 2 minutes, I told Jasmine. I'll be right back. Lorraine pulled me into an empty room and dug through her purse, hands shaking, before pulling out a worn photograph. This is my daughter, she whispered. Naomi. The baby in the picture had chubby brown cheeks, soft black curls, bright hazel eyes, and a crescent-shaped birthmark on her collarbone identical to mine. She was taken from my shopping cart in a Detroit grocery store on 7 Mile Road 28 years ago. This is impossible, I said, though my voice sounded far away. I'm Kennedy, right? Your blood type, she asked urgently. Oh, negative. Her legs gave out. My husband and I are both AB positive. Naomi would have been O negative. You're wrong, I insisted, but doubt had already cracked something open inside me. What hospital were you born in? She asked. I had no answer. Kennedy, she said softly, I think you're my stolen daughter. The walls closed in. My phone buzzed. Where are you? The music is starting. I have to go, I said. We need a DNA test, she whispered. I walked back to the bridal suite in a daze and smiled for my sister, carrying a secret that was already tearing my life apart. The ceremony itself passed in a blur. I stood at the altar beside Jasmine, holding her bouquet, smiling when I was supposed to smile, stepping forward and back on cue like a wind-up doll. My mind, however, was in chaos. Every time I glanced toward the front row, I studied our parents' faces with new, horrifying scrutiny. Mama dabbed at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Daddy held her hand, his posture proud but his jaw tight. Were they crying because Jasmine was getting married, or because they knew the truth was finally closing in on them? When Darius vowed to love Jasmine through every challenge life could bring, I caught Lorraine staring at me from across the aisle. Her husband leaned in and whispered something to her, probably urging her to focus on their son's wedding instead of the maid of honor she had just accused of being her kidnapped child. As the newlyweds kissed and the room erupted in applause, I made a decision. I couldn't survive the reception, the speeches, the electric slide, the pretending, without knowing the truth. During cocktail hour, while guests mingled and the wedding party took photos in Piedmont Park, I slipped away to find Malik. He was near the bar, laughing with cousins, when I pulled him aside. I need a favor, I said. A big one. And I need you not to ask questions yet. His smile vanished. Kennedy, what's wrong? Can you run a missing persons check? Naomi Henderson. Detroit, 1997. Kidnapped at 14 months old. Malik stared at me. Why would you? Please, I said. I'll explain everything later. He studied my face, then nodded. Give me 20 minutes. While Malik made calls, I found my parents in the garden posing for photos with distant relatives from Tuskegee and Birmingham. I waited until the photographer moved on before approaching them. Mama, Daddy, I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Daddy's smile faltered. Kennedy, baby, what's wrong? I pulled out my phone and showed them the photo Lorraine had given me, the one I'd quickly snapped before returning it. Darius's mother thinks I'm her kidnapped daughter. She says this baby is me. The color drained from Daddy's face, so fast I thought he might collapse. Mama's hand flew to her throat, fingers tightening around her pearls. That's ridiculous, Mama said, but her voice broke. Then tell me what hospital I was born in, I said. Show me my birth certificate. Name one person who knew me before I was 2. They said nothing. The silence stretched, heavy and unbearable. Say something, I demanded, my voice rising enough that nearby guests glanced over. Daddy reached for me, but I stepped back. His hand fell uselessly to his side. We loved you the moment we saw you, he whispered. The ground tilted beneath me. Those weren't the words of innocent parents, falsely accused. Those were the words of people about to confess. We need to talk somewhere private, Daddy said. Not here. No, I snapped. You've had 28 years of privacy. Mama's tears spilled freely now, mascara streaking down her brown cheeks. Kennedy, please. Let us explain. Explain what? We didn't kidnap you, Mama said. We saved you. The words hit like a slap. Around us, wedding guests laughed and chatted, oblivious to the earthquake happening in this corner of the garden. Malik returned, his face pale. Kennedy, I need to hear this, I said, not taking my eyes off my parents. Naomi Henderson, Malik said quietly. Taken from Miller's Grocery on 7 Mile Road, Detroit. October 15th, 1997. The details match. Daddy sank onto a stone bench, looking suddenly old and fragile. We never meant for it to go this far. Start from the beginning, I said. Every detail. Mama took Daddy's hand. We tried for a baby for 7 years. For miscarriages. Doctors said it would never happen. She told me about volunteering at a women's shelter in Detroit, near 8 Mile. About a stormy night when a young woman came in, high and unstable, leaving behind a toddler with hazel eyes and a crescent birthmark. About waiting days, about convincing herself the child was abandoned. So you just took me? I said coldly. We were going to do it legally, Daddy insisted. Foster care, adoption through the state. But then I saw the news, Mama said, her voice shaking. The Henderson baby. Same age, same birthmark. I panicked. You became kidnappers, I said. We became your parents, Daddy said. We moved to Atlanta. We gave you a life. We raised you in a good home in Cascade Heights, sent you to Spelman. You stole me, I said. We loved you, Mama whispered. There's more, Malik said quietly. The woman who took Naomi was identified. She died of an overdose 2 weeks later. The pieces locked together with sickening clarity. Lorraine needs to know, I said. No, Mama begged. We're your parents. We raised you. You stole me, I said. And Jasmine. I whispered, a new horror dawning. We found out Patricia was pregnant 2 months after we moved to Atlanta, Daddy said. God blessed us with. I laughed, hysteria bubbling up. A miracle! Across the garden, Jasmine approached, confusion on her face. What's going on? The DJ is asking about the sister dance. I met her eyes, my sister who shared half my life but none of my blood. Ask them, I said, pointing at our parents. Ask them what they did 28 years ago in Detroit. Kennedy, don't do this, Mama started. Because 28 years ago, I continued, my voice breaking. They stole a baby from a grocery store on 7 Mile Road. And that baby was me. The next 6 months passed in a blur of DNA tests, legal consultations, and therapy sessions that left me emotionally wrung out and hollow. The results came back exactly as everyone already knew they would. I was Naomi Henderson, taken from a grocery store shopping cart at 14 months old and raised by the people who were supposed to turn me in. Raymond and Patricia Wright were charged with kidnapping and fraud in Fulton County Superior Court. The courtroom felt unreal, like a stage set I'd wandered onto by mistake. When the judge read the sentence, 5 years of probation and 2,000 hours of community service, I watched my parents, the only parents I'd ever known, shrink into themselves. They looked smaller than I'd ever seen them, fragile and defeated. I couldn't bring myself to look at them as the verdict echoed through the room. Lorraine Henderson became a constant presence in my life almost immediately. She tried to compress 28 years of lost motherhood into daily texts, long voicemails, and weekly lunches at places like Busy Bee Cafe and Pascal's. She told me stories about my biological father, Jerome, who had died of a heart attack 5 years earlier, never knowing his daughter might still be alive. She showed me photos of grandparents I'd never meet, folks who'd migrated from Mississippi during the Great Migration. Cousins I hadn't known existed in Detroit, Chicago, and even some in Los Angeles. And a small bedroom in their home in Palmer Woods, frozen in time, waiting for a baby who never came home. We celebrated your birthday every year, Lorraine told me one afternoon over sweet tea. October 3rd, we buy a cake from the bakery on Livernois, sing happy birthday, and blow out the candles for you. My birthday with the Wrights had always been June 15th. Even that was a lie. The hardest part was Jasmine. She postponed her honeymoon, refusing to leave while our family collapsed in on itself. For weeks she called and texted, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. Looking at her felt like grief. Every shared memory suddenly seemed contaminated, like touching something beautiful that had been quietly poisoned. 3 months after the wedding, I finally agreed to meet her. She showed up at my apartment in Midtown with soul food from Busy Bee and red-rimmed eyes. I know you're not ready to forgive them, she said, unpacking containers on my coffee table. But I need you to know something. You're my sister. You've been my sister since the day I was born. Jasmine, I said quietly, your parents stole me. They stole Naomi Henderson, she said firmly. But they raised Kennedy Wright. And Kennedy is the one who taught me to tie my shoes, the one who scared away my nightmares, the one who pushed Terrell Jackson off the swing set for making fun of my glasses. She took my hands. You're the one who held my hair when I got food poisoning at Spelman. You're the one who helped me through my first heartbreak at that poetry slam in Little 5 Points. That's real. That's ours. Nothing can take that away. I broke then. Months of grief poured out of me as I sobbed into her shoulder. She held me, whispering that she loved me, that she always would, that sisters were forever, blood or not. Slowly, painfully, I began building a new life as Kennedy Naomi Wright Henderson. I kept both names because I couldn't erase 28 years of being Kennedy any more than I could ignore the truth of being Naomi. I started attending family dinners with the Hendersons in Detroit, learning traditions that should have been mine. Sunday dinners after church, fish fries, family reunions in Belle Isle Park. And I showed up for Jasmine's first anniversary dinner in Atlanta because she was right. Some bonds transcend blood. Raymond and Patricia sent letters I didn't open for months. When I finally did, they were full of apologies that changed nothing and somehow changed everything. They had been wrong, criminally wrong. But they were also the parents who stayed up with me when I was sick, who cheered at every Spelman talent show, who taught me to be strong, to be proud, to never accept less than I deserved. My therapist, Dr. Freeman, a black woman in Buckhead who understood the complexity of black family bonds, asked me what I'd learned. After a long silence, I said, the truth always surfaces. That love can be selfish and selfless at the same time. That family is messy and sometimes built on lies, but also on who shows up when your world collapses. When she asked if I'd forgiven them, I said I was working on it. All of them. The Wrights, the Hendersons, myself. Today I have 2 families. It's complicated and painful and awkward, but it's mine. Jasmine is still my anchor, my sister in every way that matters. Lorraine texts too much, but I'm learning to accept her love. And sometimes, late at night, I find myself missing Raymond and Patricia, the people who stole me and loved me and shaped who I became. I found my identity at my sister's wedding, in the space between who I was born to be and who I was raised to become. The truth didn't set me free. It taught me that love is complicated, that good people can do terrible things, and that even a life built on a lie can hold profound truths. Family isn't just blood or DNA. It's who shapes you, who stands by you, who refuses to let go when the truth threatens to tear everything apart. I'm Kennedy Naomi Wright Henderson. I'm from Detroit and Atlanta. I'm black, I'm loved, and I'm learning to carry 2 truths at once. That's my story. It's messy and painful and imperfect, but it's mine. I have 2 mothers now, one who lost me and one who found me. Both love me in their own broken, imperfect ways. And I have Jasmine, my sister in every way that matters, who reminded me that some bonds can't be stolen, only given. If this story touched you, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your comments mean everything to me, so let me know your thoughts below. And if you want to hear more true stories about family, identity, and the complicated ways we find our way home, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you for listening to my journey.